In this sequence I'm focusing generally on one or two more dynamic moves, along with some preliminary loosening up forms and just touching in some stillness after the more dynamic moving forms. Because I'm putting quite a lot of attention on the dynamic form, it takes up a lot of the time. But actually, we're running through this in real time. We probably do all the dynamic forms. That's all these movements in a sequence of 8 moves, and you can do the whole sequence because you only do each move 8 times. And so you can do the whole sequence in 20 minutes, perhaps even less. And then if you have more time, you spend a portion of time loosening up, go through the sequence, and then proportion of time standing still. Now, you can also look at it this way. Rather, if you don't have so much time, you should still do the loosening up and do the stillness at the end and lessen the number of more dynamic moves you do. So you should always do the loosening up first and conclude with some stillness in order to allow the energy to settle, integrate, and then you could reduce the amount of time you do for the movements. So I won't go through all the loosening up forms, but one might say that if you have a period of time, use a quarter of the time for loosening up, half the time for the full dynamic movements, last quarter of the time standing still. And it might be the case that eventually that standing still becomes a greater proportion of the time. The dynamic forms are there to help strengthen the system, and get the body to learn a new way of balancing and standing and operating, get the energy channels to open up. Once you practice that for a few months, then maybe you don't need so much to do so much of that. But the loosening, I think, is always useful because in a daily life, when we're often using very artificial constructions, our body doesn't move around in accordance with nature. It sits in a box on wheels, or it stands holding a strap in a subway or a train or something, or it's sitting in a seat. So a lot of the time the body is actually denaturalized. So we have to bring it back to the natural, whole, fluid experience. And so one can't. So every day you've really got to, I think one has to start again, the beginning, and do the loosening up, just to get the body to be again a kind of a whole living form, rather than just a head with some, some substance underneath it that's not really very well connected. So I'll just touch into, say, 3 of those primary loosening forms. It's just, first of all, really, feel the feet. Get the toes back. And generally, the idea of even, bouncing a little on your toes, or put both your feet on the floor and bounce from your knees. So either on your toes, or putting a heel on the floor, just using your knees to bounce a little. Do some turns. swinging from the hips, abdomen, and let the arms be loose. The more you bend the weight-bearing leg, the more dynamic the form gets. It's still very much just the loosening up thing. And then let's do the knee rolls. Bringing the feet close together. Just do 20, of course, you know. You can do 30. I wouldn't do less than 20. Nice and slow, feeling things crunch or grind in the knees, go slowly and gently. But the aim is to widen the circle. Not press on the knees, just gently trail on the knees, and just float your hands, but certainly not to press on the knees. And feet parallel, knees spread, so the knees over the centre of each foot. And cultivate the quad squat, so as if something is just gently pushing into this place beneath it, below the navel, and tilting the hips. Tilting the hips and bend the knees, straighten. So if you've been in an office all day or driving, or traveling, even sitting, traveling in the car, bus or something, I really recommend you do something like this when you get to your place of arrival, just to help to restore the lumbar region. Turn the tail under, and this help really brings the legs and the trunk back into connectivity. And these situations where we're sitting in chairs, the car or a desk, these pretty much break the body energetically into 2 or 3 pieces. The legs disappear, the trunk sort of sits there, the head and arms do things. So you have these 3 pieces of body, and 1 piece, the legs, is almost completely redundant. So it's quite deadening. There's this, going down, feel your legs strengthening. The pressure between the knees. And push down to bring the body up. And we're not pulling back, not pushing forward, but allowing, releasing, avoid throwing your head back. Release down the arms. Use this to gently stretch the breathing, slowly through the nostrils, stretching it, lengthening it. Breathing out. Let's just let that one come to rest. Image of the boat in the harbour, keel holding the boat from tipping over. Boat is still got a lightness to it, buoyant. Now the other quite crucial loosening form, the string puppet. Huge amount of stress, tension occurs between the head, neck, shoulder, through a lot of, hunched over, doing things. If you're working like that, that's disc stuff. Probably good to have. You could even do it standing, if you can avoid this as much as possible. Do it standing at your keyboard or whatever. And then, loosening. And so, here's the hand is loose. Operating the shoulder. Bring your awareness from your jaw across around this area here. Whole thing. So there's the active aspect of it. The result of this, one should be open and receptive right the way across. Even down the body. So, the releasing can occur through the whole form. Remember, every form includes the whole body, and one should attempt to keep one's awareness spread over the whole form, so the movements occur within a much wider and affected field of the entire form. So this may you may even do this. You may even feel something move down to here. So here's the string puppet. Bear in mind, just bring back to mind, there's the middle finger leads on this one. Lifting up. Of course, hands, first of all, the hands are just very limp, loose. And we let the body dangle. beneath the strings, on the strings. The arms swing up to the ears, they turn, and from the center, energy, your awareness, your energy moves both directions, down the arms, and this middle finger tilts back to open the palm, breathing out. Okay. So it's rather like this, give you a close-up of what's happening. And this hand comes up, the middle finger, it's the middle finger that leads, so opening like that, and down. You see the wrist is fairly right angled, doesn't bend further back than that. So this isn't much good. Right, the middle finger down through the palm, the wrist. As you come down, you open the hand as if you're breathing out through the palm as it sweeps down, and then comes back up again. Just do a few of these. Nice long exhalation again, using this to lengthen the breath, make it run out much slower, not to the point of struggling, but that's the general intention. So when you have the physicality of it, contemplate drawing up, energy rising, and then spreading, widening, circle, smoothing, grounding, and describing a smooth circle. And you might very well do that for a couple of minutes. So we've done some loosening there and some lengthening to show you a new dynamic form. This one is called striking the dragon. Striking the dragon on the nose. So this we take up it's called the baby fist, which is the thumb sitting in the palm of the hand, and then the curls in, the fingers lightly wrap around it, baby fist. And these come into the armpit. So they're both there. And when I extend it, it's going to turn over. Extend it, turning over, drawing it back, extending it, breathing out, breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. And don't clench it. And the theme is that as you're breathing out, the energy runs down from your shoulder, down the arm, as if you're sending water down a hose slowly. It comes down there, and it isn't really until it gets to where it's going that the energy comes into the fist, and then drawing it back. Now the two arms operate together. So one's going forward, the other's going back. Breathing in, breathing out. And so as they pass, the breath changes. In and out. And out. Now we also use the body, the main trunk of the body, with this form. And what's happening here is keeping the hips and the legs immobile, and also the head immobile, and turn the torso between these two immobile ends. That's the end of the spine here and here. And keeping the head straight, hips are moving, and just turning the torso. So you should feel the effect in the top of the neck and in the sacrum. That's a nice massage for the spine. Okay, so breathing out. Keep looking forward, breathing in and out. In, out. Bend your knees. And avoid turning your head. So how you can know it, because you should certainly sense that something occurring where the cranium sits on the axis bone, top of the neck. Out. Breathing in and out. Okay, so now we're warming up. Now we're going to ready for the dragon. So let's consider, striking a dragon is not a small undertaking. So, want to hit it on the nose. So we're coming down, the arm is coming out, and bring your gaze to bear on the dent, the notch between the two lead knuckles, and then sharpen that gaze, just like we did with the bow and arrow, as if you're really at that point, you're really meaning to strike the dragon with a sharp end to that energy, that form, and soften and progressively sharpen, soften and sharpen. the strength holding the ground, your legs. Okay, then we come back to the resting state. Release the form. You can see, you get the sense, as we did with other these forms, really exercising the energy from a firm to an open, sharp, open, close. And it's there's the energy massage. And remember that energy is travelling legs, trunk, eyes, head, everything is involved in that firming up, and everything loosens up. One effect of this is that any residual tension in your body, when your body as a whole releases, then also other pieces of tension that we weren't aware of release. We deliberately tense in a slow, progressive way, and then deliberately relax. You may find the areas that have been slightly tense follow the signal. The body is a signalling system. The whole body is, and then release, and then very likely you're going to get an increasing sense of releasing any other tense areas in the form. So then we come back to just letting things settle down, and balance, check the position, feet parallel, knees over the centre of the foot, slightly bent, tail turned under. Bring your face back so it's not peering forward. Resting on the ball a minute or two. Scanning, gently scanning the whole form. Anything, agitated, anything tense, anything not there but leaning on something else. Bring everything into presence so that the imbalances can be addressed by the body in itself. Stand like this, the body will check out those places and start to address any imbalances. And we just have to remain open and non-pushy, just open and peaceful with that process. Let's wrap up for today. Don't want anything back. Again, it's useful to keep bearing in mind that this is not quite the end. The end may occur after another half a minute. Standing. And just go into meditation from here. For this session, I'll Just a feeling of what's happening, and time to be aware that these sensitive organs in your body, and bring them into awareness. Where awareness is, the chi will flow. You won't get immediate drastic results, but you're certainly, going to get some long-term benefit from it. So we'll conclude the session this time.